one.
Welcome to Andor Candor.
Whee!
This is our Andor recap show. This is technically episode 2, but we're covering episode 4.
It's not confusing at all.
Okay? It's only going to be confusing in the beginning. And we welcome you all, whether you're an alliance, whether you're SEP, guerrilla,
SEP?
partisan front. Yeah, that's short for separatists, okay?
I loved that reference.
It was great. We're all
SEP.
rebels. With me today, as usual, my partner in crime, Lena.
Hi.
Super producer, funny gal.
Hi, good to be here.
Great to see you again. Thanks for joining us again. And then Star Wars super fan, super producer, funny gal, writer, actor, performer, Emily Rose Jacobson, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello,
All the way
everyone.
from X-Play. On loan from X-Play.
On loan, yes.
Coming by.
We wanted to get Emily in on the first episode, but she was out with the sniffles, and now she's back, and hopefully recovered, or else I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah, this is going to be a bad time for everyone. No, I'm feeling a lot better. I missed being here last week because, what an amazing first 3 episodes. And
Yeah.
what an interesting episode 4.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I think I would love to kind of hear your a very brief sort of summation on the first 3, since you weren't here for that, and then just kind of get your sort of what you think this is and where it lands in all of the Star Wars universe, because I really like this. I think honestly this could be my favorite piece of Star Wars content outside the original trilogy.
Wow.
So far.
It's
That's a
a-
pretty big statement.
It's a
I know.
fantastic show so far.
But you've consumed just about everything there is under the Star Wars sun. Where does this line up? Is this exactly what you wanted? Is this what you consider to be paying sort of correct homage to the franchise with this sort of dark, gritty tone? Is it too slow?
No, yeah. I love it so much. I think Star Wars is such a unique, because it's a galaxy. It's a huge, huge, huge galaxy of a bunch of different stories.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we need to see the same characters over and over again. I love that we're focusing on this one character from this one film who essentially, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Rogue One, dies in a suicide mission.
Yeah. By the way, guys, you got to know that this is
Nope.
going to be a spoiler-heavy show, okay?
Yeah.
And Andor is essentially the events leading up to what happened in Rogue One. At the end of Rogue One, everybody dies.
Many Banthans died that day.
Yeah. Well, great. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But I think it's really interesting because the only other piece of media we really have that kind of parallels alongside Andor is Star Wars Rebels, which also takes place in the year 5 BBY. So that's going alongside. Which is right alongside it. Much happier, much lighter. Of course, a show for children. But as we know from the Clone Wars and a lot of these Star Wars shows, you don't have to be a kid to enjoy them. They have a lot of complex themes. They have fantastic characters. Freddie Prinze Jr. Love him.
Friend of the network, Freddie Prinze Jr.
Invitation to party.
Yeah.
That guy can't keep that guy out of my replies. I got to tell you, it's annoying. Keep that handsome devil off my timeline.
He wants the KG.
He does. The Cassian G is I'm going by now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cassian with a K. But yeah, I think I
tried.
love it that it's.
Cassian G.
Dude, we're doing our best.
How
Stellan
good is my
Skarsgård.
Stellan, guys?
Oh yeah.
Cassian
Chat?
Andor.
Or is this okay? We're all going to do a Stellan Skarsgård
You go now.
impersonation. Okay.
That was good.
Cassian. He's going to go Southern. Cassian Andor.
It's great.
So bad. Yours was better than mine.
No, I think people appreciate how bad we're all at this Stellan Skarsgård impersonation.
Yeah.
By the way, as you can see, this R2-D2 is adorning our desk here. This is on loan from Christian, who's a producer here at G4. Has a Lego R2-D2 with aftermarket parts that's giving it the sort of LED. There's a lot of movement that it does. It does a lot of bleep bloops.
You see it blinking down there if you look closely.
Blinking.
Ooh,
I think we can hear it here. Yeah.
Oh.
Do you hear that?
Yeah.
Isn't that-
Wait.
And we're just going to do this for the next 40 minutes.
Just gonna watch this Lego and just go through they're the 10 different sound bites it comes with.
So thanks, Christian, for lending us the R2-D2. Let's get into the episode. As we know, the first 3 episodes were kind of like a movie, and it had its own little arc, and then
I love it when they do that. I love
Love
it
it.
when they give me 3 episodes because, like, can you imagine if we watch episode 1 and you're like, oh, okay, well, okay, right, oh, all right, this is so fine. But having all 3 of them in there, you're like, yep, this is our character, this is setting the stakes, this is giving us what we need to know, and
Yeah.
then 4, like you said, is episode 2.
absolutely, it is a slower burn because they're setting up a lot of the characters, but the fact they gave us all 3 like helped sort of I don't know, combat a lot of the people out there that are like, this is way too slow.
Yeah, and boy, that conclusion at the end of episode 3 was just
Really great.
so intense, so cool.
Yeah.
I loved it.
And so we have a setup of a new next block of episodes, and it starts with Luthen and Cassian hitting warp speed, and they have a conversation. Essentially, Luthen's telling Cassian that he wasn't there for the Starpath unit. He was there to recruit Cassian.
He gives me, like, Star Wars Nick Fury vibes.
Totally.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's a guy you trust, but you don't know why. There's like a wisdom about him. He's seen some stuff. And there's a really interesting moment where Cassian tells him he's been fighting since he was fighting in Mimban since he was 16. And Luthen kind of calls him out. He's like, you were a cook.
Yeah.
You were there
You're
for
lying.
6 months. You ran. And I thought, right away, he kind of Cassian delivers a similar line to Jyn Erso in Rogue One, where he's like, I've been fighting since I was 6. And I don't know because he's kind of like stretching the truth a little bit here with Luthen. Do you think he was stretching the truth at all with Jyn Erso? Do you think he wants to appear a certain way to people, and maybe he's literally running from his past a little bit?
I think it's a combination of both. I think it's like he kind of skirts along that gray area where it's like just from what we've seen in his backstory, he's been fighting since he was young, and he's kind of been on the run. He's been trying to find his home, has a found family, but like trying to find his place in this big crazy galaxy.
Yeah.
But also, he's kind of got to exaggerate the truth. He knows not to show you all of his cards because how does he trust you?
He's a survivor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He has survived this long on his wits and his knowledge and not like only giving his trust to certain people.
Yeah. Yeah. And Luthen pretty much tells him what the goal is here, and that is he wants him to steal something of value. Drops a line that is kind of haunting where he says, I know you'll ultimately die fighting these bastards. Or he says it like,
Right.
ultimately you'll die fighting these bastards.
Whoa,
Good
that's
impression. Good impression. You should do
Cassian
ADR.
Andor.
That's good.
And because we know in Rogue One, that's essentially what he does. And I saw a comment on a YouTube video, which was like, they've set up Cassian as a guy who's always running away so far. As a guy who's, and as a character arc, we know at the Rogue One, he stays. He
stays on that beach.
He stays on the beach. And I love how we're so far back that he hasn't really gained those qualities yet.
Yeah.
And we're seeing him sort of go on this journey together.
And that point Luthen makes where it's like, don't you want to die for something real? Don't you want to?
Yeah.
You're essentially doing the same thing, sticking it to the Empire, but do it in a way where it'll actually hurt. Hit them where it actually hurts, not just stealing something that they won't even notice.
Yeah, all this rinky-dink stuff that you think you're doing, ultimately you're only serving yourself. Why not do it for a bigger cause? And he says, well, how about you wanna join me in stealing the quarterly payroll of an Imperial sector, which I really had to look into because I'm like, what does that mean?
I know.
So what does that mean? Is that like is it a financial heist? Is it like they after the payroll? Like,
Is there a physical form of this payroll?
yes. Is it by doing this? I'm assuming you're hindering the Empire in some substantial way. So okay, I'm on board. I don't exactly know what the physical sort of take is, but I'm assuming they're trying to hit him here. Do you have any sort of
Well, it's kind of
clarity
like
here?
what we see with oh gosh, what's her name? The Imperial ISB.
Daedra.
Deidre. Which
Yeah.
Also great Star Wars and
Hero.
also like ISB name.
Yeah. Deidre.
But kind of she's been picking up. She's like, I'm putting this stuff together. There's little instances that are happening in my sector that I think is rebel activity. And of course, boss is like, No, we hired you to be smart. We hired you for your brains.
Tucked away.
Not for, to be tucked away.
Yeah.
Ew. Not for your gut, not for your gut instincts. But I
Yeah.
think this is the rebels, like, basically seeing what they can get away with. So quarterly payroll doesn't seem like a lot, but it could be a lot of information. You could get names. You could find out who pays who, what those transition lines are.
That's true.
It could house a lot more information than we think. So I think like the budgeting of the Rebel Alliance right now, is just like seeing what they can do. Like, okay, I'm going to steal this
Yes.
thing. Okay, we're going to try this. We're going to hit this. It's not good. They don't have big targets yet because they don't have the numbers. They don't have the money, as we find out. Money's real. Who's going to fund a rebellion? It takes a lot.
This
Takes
is
a lot of
actually,
money.
that's incredibly helpful because now in my head, I start to see the value of like, a list of names and who works where and like who does what.
I totally was just thinking about the money.
I was thinking
That's
of
all
money.
I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so next scene we're intro. Speaking of Deidre Miro, who works for the ISB, which is the Imperial Security Bureau.
So it's like the CIA.
Or kind of
Star
like, I
Wars
saw online
universe.
someone referring to them as essentially the Star Wars Gestapo.
Yeah, there's a
I mean,
they
saw some
do
of
they
that
do
there.
re-education. There's a bunch of divisions in the ISB.
yes.
So it's not great.
In my head, I've always associated the Empire with like the Third Reich.
Yeah, totally.
And
that
that's
was
on
kind of,
purpose,
yeah.
right?
I mean, that's
And
their
so
uniforms. That was kind of,
the
original
Gestapo
aesthetic,
here
yeah.
is a great sort of comparison, although is it? And then so she's at this sort of like they're having a briefing, and the head guy there, what's his name, Man, I want to say Patagonia, but I definitely know it's not that.
Great Star Wars name.
I have the IMDb here, and he's essentially getting a report and update of all the different instances, and a smarter man would know that there's a little bit of Easter eggs here as far as what's happening on some of these other planets. But the main thing is he wants a report on what just happened on Ferrix. And Lieutenant Blevin, who's tasked with that, says, I'm going there right after this meeting to figure out what's going on. Because what's interesting here, and what I've found to be interesting is like, there's the Empire, but then they've also sort of hired out corporate security as like
Corpos.
So they don't,
Basically mall cops.
they're independent.
Cops.
They're the mall
Paul
cops
Blart.
of the, Paul Blart, mall
Exactly.
cop of the Star Wars universe.
They're contractors. And
who think they have so much power. Man, oh man, they thought they could
They
do.
do.
Their little
Yeah.
orange visor hats.
Okay, I
So
was going to
dumb
I meant to tweet this out. I love their outfit design. It reminds me a lot of actually, I don't know if this was on purpose or if this is just it's probably much more of a coincidence, but their uniforms look so close to the corporate the guard armor outfits in the Outer Worlds. I'll share a photo after
that's
this,
a good
but like,
point.
especially Auntie Cleo's, that whole, their color kind of like the blue and the orange, like just with the buttons and the angles and the hats. I was like, oh, this reminds me of the Outer Worlds. And it's that very much like Space Corporation Guard kind of deal.
Yeah. By the way, that actor's the character's name is Major Partagaz. That's the old guy in charge there at ISB. Partagaz, played by Anton Lesser, and Deidre's played by Denise Gao. Just in case you guys are interested in finding it, she was in, I think, Game of Thrones and some other stuff. Every actor, as in the first 3 episodes, every actor is like phenomenal.
Also,
there's not a weird line reading at all.
Speaking of line readings, I love that we are constantly like keeping up with the Empire's all British accents.
Yeah.
I love it. That's my favorite continuity, and we're sticking to it, and it's great.
Yeah, what do you
But
make?
the corpos are Scottish. What's that about?
I don't know.
What is that
It
about?
was interesting. It was Scottish, and then Cyril had an American accent.
Yeah, why is he the only one with the American accent?
Should we read into that, Emily, or is that just?
I think that just comes from what George Lucas did in the original series, where it's like you had Grand Admiral talking, and you had these people talking like this, and very Imperial. We're British, we're so stuffy. And then I think everyone's just like, that's just kind of one of those unwritten Star Wars rules, like ponchos, as we saw in this episode, where you just keep having it in the Star Wars universe. You're like, well, the Empire is full of British speakers.
Yeah.
Because it's also like, I mean, if I'm like, hey, Kassem, I'm with the Empire security, you got to come with me because I'm not liking what you're putting down.
Yeah.
That's not intimidating versus like, we've been examining things in Sector 7.
Oh
and
my
I can
God.
see, yes.
Oh, I'm busted, dude. I'm in trouble.
I'm scared.
Hey, Lamb, we gotta go on break.
Okay, let's go on break. When we get back, we're going to get into Vel and the group of rebels on Aldani. So stick around. We're getting this episode right after this break. Welcome back to Andor, Candor. It's me, Cassian G, Lena, Emily. We're here.
Hi.
Hello.
You have a sign that says, "Let Diego Luna touch Jabba."
Yes. I don't know if you've seen this, but yeah, Diego Luna has said on many occasions that he's always been fascinated by the Jabba puppet, and he just wants to touch it.
Yeah.
And he's always wondered what it feels like. And I want this man's dreams to come true.
Let's get a Kickstarter going.
Let's get it. let's raise money for Diego
Let's raise
Luna.
it.
Yeah,
to
not a
touch
petition.org, but a Kickstarter.
That's right.
Kickstarter.
May the Force help him in this endeavor. Where we left off, we are now landing on a planet called Aldani.
Aldani.
And Luthen has a conversation with Cassian. He's like, pick an alias. Cassian picks the name Clem.
Mm-hmm.
We know so far that Clem is the name of Marva's partner. It was the other guy that was on the sort of downed ship that they found Cassian in.
Yeah.
Who was later hung.
And who was later hung. So he is kind of like the father figure. And Luthen apparently knows all this information already, which is interesting because he has access to information. He picks Clem, so it shows that there's a little bit of heart. There's things that Diego does keep close, but he doesn't like put that stuff out there, and he does it in an interesting way.
And he shaves.
Boy,
Disappointed.
We like our
Very
Diego
jawline.
scruffy.
Oh,
Yeah.
amen. Yeah, I know he's got to do it so he stays undercover, but hopefully, I mean, this is what, a 24 episode long series. He's got to grow it back at some point.
I'm so glad that there's 2 seasons of 12 eps on this.
Amen.
It's going to be great. We meet Vel. Vel Sartha. She is gone on a day-long hike to meet with Luthen. This is something I think that they do, like as part of this sort of rebel thing, is that she's getting information from Luthen every once in a while. She's got to go meet him. And Luthen tells her, I was about to shut you down. I've brought in a critical redundancy in Clem. And she's obviously like, how can you bring somebody into our operation? Because we've got this big thing going on in 3 days. You're bringing somebody in now?
Yeah, we've already got the team. Like, look, they've already know each other's horoscopes. They know who gels well with who.
Yeah.
And now you're throwing a rando dude in the mix.
It's tough. Everyone's kind of gelled, and now here's a new guy.
And they have to trust him with their life.
I know.
Yeah.
It's not just like, are we going to vibe?
Yes.
And especially I know we're broken records at this point, but it's the very early days of the rebellion. Who you really don't know who you can trust. I feel like in A New Hope, everyone's like, oh, sick, you want to be part of the rebels? Cool, we're a big group now. Everyone, we trust everyone.
Yeah.
But here it's like, you could betray me, you could betray me. Mon Mothma is like paranoid as all get out and stuff. So I totally understand the level of paranoia and protection, especially like we're trusting everybody with our lives.
Yeah. And Luthen gives Cassian a kyber crystal, a
beautiful
Kawadi
kyber.
signet, which he says, don't take any less than 50,000 credits.
Seriously, we can just put his photo over you, and
That's
it's
really
great.
I want it back when this is over. And I'm enjoying doing that. A real cool kyber crystal here.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
I wonder if they'll sell that necklace at the Galaxy's Edge stores anytime soon.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure it'll be way too much money.
They're printing it in the factories right now.
Yeah.
They're making it happen.
But we love seeing a little kyber crystal.
Yeah. Yeah. Did they already mine all the kyber crystal that they need for the Death Star, do you think? Or, because that all happens in they're at Jeddah City, right? Are they mining in Rogue One? Are they mining for kyber crystal
they are,
there?
that's
so
when
maybe they're doing
they
that
hollow
currently.
out the planet for kyber.
Kyber's, that stuff is valuable.
Amen, because it powers the Empire needs it, and it also powers the lightsabers.
And we're going back to Morlana 1 here. Blevin is taking over the Corpos. He is right in Cyril Karn's face. He says, "You've rung the bell of corporate independence, almost ending the contractor work that the Corpos here on Morlana have been doing. They've obviously failed because of this incident on Ferrix. So the Imperial now it's under Imperial control, right?"
Yep.
Yeah.
Cassian and Vel are hiking back. They see TIE fighters. These are our first TIE fighters of the series.
That kind of made me jump when it happened.
Same.
I was fully not expecting that at all.
It was very cool.
I just love the moment where they start to hear it from the distance. Like I didn't have my TV turned up all the way, and I was like, "What?" And then you hear those nasty things screech, and it's just like, I'd be terrified. Those things are just terrifying by sound alone.
Such a cool sound.
I think the reason it really jumped in this moment is because we're in it. Okay, like all the other Star Wars shows have mostly been like Tatooine, like kind of deserty, like the same landscapes. And now we're in Aldani,
The Scottish Highlands.
Yeah, Scottish Highlands.
Yeah.
You're very remote. Like instantly, we were like transported to this location, and I was feeling like, what was that quote you were gonna say about Aldani, where people are?
So Vel says an interesting thing because Cassian's kind of like, well, where is everybody? Like, what happened to the people here? And we learn again about how the Empire acts like an empire, pushing out the indigenous people on a planet and then mining it for its resources. And they're also British. I wonder what they're saying here.
Yeah.
Vel talking about the people who kind of remain, they are nature lovers, mystics, and dead enders that are hiding out in the hills. Ooh. Which sounds like the perfect place to hide if you were maybe a Jedi on the run, someone who survived Order 66. Nature lovers, mystics, and dead enders. I'm not saying we will see a Jedi. I just think it was an interesting line that could basically just hint at, hey, just as we've seen in Obi-Wan, Jedi are kind of still hiding anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah.
Great bit of world building.
There's also a piece of information here where Vel's like, no, we're not robbing the quarterly payroll. We're robbing the armory. And almost like Luthen put one over on Cassian there.
Yeah.
And
lots of trust issues here.
But he knows what to say. They both know how to they're both survivors in that, right? And they know how to manipulate in a fun way. Back at Coruscant, Deidre learns that it's the NS9 Starpath unit that was found on Ferrix, and that actually falls under her jurisdiction. It was stolen from Steerguard, so she's interested now. She wants in on this particular mission. We are in Coruscant orbit. Now, this is the first time we see Coruscant.
Yeah,
I love Coruscant. I think it's my favorite planet in all of Star Wars.
It's just so
cool.
slick.
I was like, it's like New York City.
That's right.
Well, there's just so many cool
Future
levels.
York.
There's so many cool levels. You have the high level, and then you kind of have the beneath the city levels, where it's the underground, the under levels of Coruscant, sketchy.
Yeah. And we see which is probably going to be one of my favorite parts of the episode where Luthen is now putting on a disguise. Hell of a job with the disguise.
Oh, beautiful.
by the way.
Wig.
Great wig.
First of all, the man starts it off by putting a nice hot towel on the face. I
Yeah.
would love a ship that generates hot towels for me in space, please.
Just
Yes.
because you're a rebel doesn't mean you can't do self-care.
No, plus he's got to
Right?
look a certain way. He's got to look like a proprietor of a gallery. And
That's
boy
right.
howdy, he does. Just that moment of him like kind of physically getting into it and putting
Striding
on that
into the room.
persona.
Yeah.
Senator.
I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
That's me getting ready
Senator.
to, that's me shucking off my nerd California persona and getting ready to interact with my Southern conservative family members.
Yes, absolutely. You are referring to the scene where we're introduced to Senator Mon Mothma. And during this time, right up front, we know based on the animated series that she's leading the rebellion, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
she's kind of leading it, and I think it's really cool. This actress has been the same actress since Revenge of the Sith.
Yes.
And it's so wonderful being able to see her kind of grow into this role as well.
Her name's Genevieve O'Reilly.
She is wonderfully fun to look at.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
got a great face, amazing actress.
She's
but
giving me
yeah, what kind of
Gillian
vibe?
Anderson and
Gillian Anderson is
Glenn Close.
in my top.
Ooh.
Gillian Anderson could be in my top 3
Top hotties?
Wow.
of like
or just
women I would throw it all the way for.
Oh. Amen.
Part of one of my favorite series in the 90s, X-Files.
yes.
I am just partial to her look.
Well, it explains why you thought she was so beautiful, Mon Mothma.
I am a fan.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Senator.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
She
Is that selling?
No. I
that
think-
was like Randy Macho Man.
yeah.
Savage.
I mean, you are closer than I will ever be.
At this point, she's just a senator. She's looking for a gift for her husband. We realize she has a new driver, Luthen, and his assistant, Clocker. She comes in, and they have this very fun exchange. Luthen is he's a completely different character.
I loved it.
He's kind of like a little dandy.
Yeah.
And
A purveyor of jewels and fine artifacts.
Senator, you flatter us. This is a place of patience. What does he say? He says something about how, it's it's too funny.
Forget.
It's very
He
funny.
just has fantastic lines here.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of range, and he goes from like sort of blistering cold, hard ass to like warm, welcoming, dandy salesman. And he's here. This is the part I love in all these sort of like spy movies and like double agent. Like there's always the front and then the transition into like, all right, let's get to business. That little transition is so fun for me when
So
they've got to
good.
put it on, because it's like, oh my God, I can't believe people do this. And it's so dangerous. And the assistant's distracting the driver.
That was really cool.
Luthen takes Senator Mothma to the back, where this whole scene is littered with Easter eggs. And Emily, she like stormed over to my desk yesterday, and she's like, "Did you see the Star Killer?" I was like, "What's going on? Are you on drugs?" Talk to me about all the things that are in this scene. Now, let's just set the table here. It's an artifact. It's like a gallery, almost like
gallery.
a place that has historical artifacts from the Star Wars Museum.
It's Luthen's gallery of Easter egg. It's Star Wars Easter egg-a-palooza.
What do we see?
Because we were talking about this, I think, a little even before this episode came out. I was like, wow, they really haven't done any glup shitto stuff in this series. It's not like, there's a few things here and there, but it's not like we've seen The Mandalorian or Boba Fett, where it's like, here's this character, or
Yeah.
here's this thing. And then, of course, episode 4 is like, it's the gallery of hidden things.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
most of the obvious thing we see is the Mandalore armor. The Siege of Mandalore has already happened, so it makes sense that he would have some Mandalore armor, as would a lot of people want to collect it. There is a Twi'lek, a Calicori, on one of the displays, which is a traditional family tree heirloom passed down from multiple generations. You kind of add bits onto it to kind of, it's a physical kind of totem of carrying your family with you. Most notably, we see one in Rebels with Harrison Dula when Thrawn takes it from her, and he actually has her family's Calicori. And then, yeah, of course, we see Starkiller's armor. So that big piece of armor in the very back, kind of they pass by. Man, the shot on that thing was like, it's Starkiller's armor. They're going to walk right past it. It's framed up in the shot. So that armor is from a video game in 2008 called Star Wars The Force Unleashed. So it is the Sith Stalker armor worn by Galen Merrick, whose name is also Starkiller, who was once Darth Vader's Sith apprentice. That is the plot of that game. You play kind of like these other Star Wars games have you playing as Jedi, playing as kind of rogues, playing as rebels and stuff. You're a good guy. This one's like, we're going to make you a bad guy. We're going to make you the apprentice of Darth Vader.
He's powerful. from
Oh
what
yeah,
I
he's
understand.
crazy
As
powerful
as Luke or more.
Yeah, this guy is like, he's hugely powerful. And so because of kind of what it did story-wise, this was back when kind of everyone was having fun in the Star Wars universe, and we really didn't have, like, you had all these books out there too. Everyone just kind of picking and poking at canon. As after Disney acquired Star Wars, it was Star Wars Force Unleashed was deemed as part of the Legends canon, which is essentially like not what we're taking with us. But I don't know. Between this, Rebel Commando showing up in season 2 of Bad Batch, which was sadly delayed until January. I'm fine. And then seeing the BD9 units in Mandalorian, we're seeing so many nods, so many careful nods to the video game franchise of Star Wars, which I think is so interesting because we're really not seeing any other pop culture media or just franchise really acknowledge their video game storytelling and the video game side. And as like a gamer, it is so wonderful to feel seen in like these fantastically produced and beautiful Star Wars.
Like I
shows.
played what's the one with Cal Kestis?
Fallen Order.
I just played Fallen Order this year. Absolutely loved it.
More ponchos. That's more ponchos.
More ponchos and BD units. When I see Cal Kestis on screen for the first time, I'm gonna lose it.
We're getting him.
I know we're supposed to, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
where and when. I'm very excited. There is another Easter egg which I want to tease. We're gonna go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, something that's not from the Star Wars universe is actually hidden in the scene. Emily's got the deets. We'll get more to it right when we take a break here. Welcome back, Andor, Candor. I'm Kassem G. This is Lena. This is Emily. Yeah, do it.
B2E Emily. I'm gonna think of a droid name.
That's right.
These are my friends. We're talking Andor.
You need to do like a cameo or something.
Have me voice it in the game.
There you go.
You were just telling us about all the different Easter eggs in the gallery and the artifacts.
There's some non-Star Wars Easter eggs.
I was very surprised to hear this. What'd you find?
Well, at one point you see what appears to be a coiled rope or whip in carbonite, which looks very similar to a whip used by our good friend and adjacent to the Lucas family, Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
And then in the very back, when Luthen is kind of chatting to Mon Mothma in the back, having their real conversations, on the back shelf, you not only see a Jedi holocron and a Sith holocron, you also see the stones from Temple of Doom.
That's so fun.
You see like
Wow.
little stones and stuff. So I think it's like that's cute. I mean, you got to fill up like an antiquities
That's
like set. And I think whoever that set deck person is, I love you. You're amazing. I'm sure if I was that set deck person, I'm like, I'm going to put all these little things back here. And I cannot imagine that they're like watching the internet right now and they just are like, yay, they found it. Or I wonder how many things we have not found.
Right.
Exactly. There's probably so much that didn't even make it in. If you guys want a timestamp, at least on the whip in carbonite, that's at 30:30, and it's a shot of Mothma looking through the window at her driver, and it's sort of to the right there. I think it's a really, really fun Easter egg.
Precious.
Totally.
There's also, part of the conversation she's having with Luthen here is she wants to potentially bring somebody into the circle.
It's Leia.
Okay, this is what I wanted to ask.
Or it's Papa.
Gail.
It's Gail.
I want it to be Leia, obviously.
It has to be Leia because
Yeah.
we see Leia in Rogue One. Like it's got to be because this is what 5 years before Rogue
Yeah.
One. So this is more like this is more teenage Leia.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe we might see Leia at this party. Maybe she's gonna suss her out and stuff. See kind of pick up what she's putting down.
Yeah.
See if she's really interested. I've heard about this kind of this fun feisty princess.
Yeah.
Whose dad worked with the Jedi, Jedi.
I wonder who they'd get to play her.
I love it. I think I think Carrie Fisher is smiling down right now,
Yeah.
just seeing all the fantastic actresses, the little girl who played her
Yeah.
in Obi-Wan, and then whoever may play her here, maybe even her
Billy Lord,
yeah,
her daughter.
her daughter.
Oh, wow. I love when they do that. I absolutely. In Licorice Pizza, when they had Philip Seymour Hoffman, so I was like, this warms my heart.
But I hope it might be one of those kind of like, oh, you think it's going to be Leia and it's not. I'm happy either way. I'm curious to see who we see being added to the rebellion. Who knows? It could be our good friend, It's a Trap. It could be, I'm blanking, Mon Calamari. He's a no. Admiral
Admiral
I'm take my Star Wars card. Has
I
to
will
now
not be
revoked.
doing that voice. But
It's a
yeah,
trap. I can do that voice a little well.
Pretty good.
that's really good.
That's the one thing I can do here.
Welcome, Admiral. And so okay, that's the big sort of narrative piece here is that potentially somebody's coming into the circle. Luthen's obviously like we can we trust him? Like I don't think so. Blah 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 blah. Mothma's like, oh, I really want to do it. Now we are back at the rebel camp on Aldani, where Cassian has been introduced to all the people there, and he's also introduced to Lieutenant Gorn, who's the inside man at the Imperial garrison. He's the guy who's posing as an Imperial officer. He's the one that's giving them access to the armory. And now, right after this, we go to Mon Mothma's home. This is another big scene here, okay?
Yes.
There's a dinner party. Well, lovely home, by the way.
Beautiful.
Beautiful, gaudy,
Would love
just
it.
gold and white. And we meet her husband, who his name's Perrin. He's throwing a dinner party for the governor of Hana. And she's not happy about it because the guest list includes some of her political enemies.
Yeah.
And then some of those enemies, Ars Danger. I don't know if I say this right. Sly Moore. We know these people to be, and correct me if I'm wrong, they're like right-hand men or 1 degree away from Senator Palpatine, the Emperor. And what I kind of like is like we're getting close to a lot of these like huge figures in the Star Wars universe, but we're
Not quite there.
not quite there, and it's fun for me to color in who these other people might be. But imagine me and you are married. Imagine I come home, you tell me my enemies are coming to dinner. You say Fiona Nova's gonna be here, Kevin Pereira's coming to dinner, and I go, how dare you?
You're gonna have to entertain them all night.
Yeah.
Also, the comment.
Because I am the house husband.
Yes.
I am house husband. It's me. Also,
And I need a dinner party. I'm
That's what you
bored.
do.
also the comment of, don't worry, you won't be seated with them. You'll be seated on the not fun side of the
Yeah,
table.
they're the fun
Boring
side.
side of the table.
Jeez.
What a dick.
Also-
This piece.
Don't say it, Emily. We can curse. We can
Star
say a
Wars
cuss.
Piece of shit. He's a. There's good people on both sides.
Yeah.
kind of
Oh,
guy.
yes, he is. He's
and-
an all lives matter kind of guy,
Oh
isn't
my gosh,
he?
Yeah.
all aliens matter. All Empire lives matter. But like, oh my gosh, like this dude. Like,
Also, I'm sorry. This one line, like right at the end of the scene, like when they cut to the next scene, was just on him going, "Must everything be boring and sad?"
Yeah.
And I just thought that was so, like, honestly, a very silly line.
If there was
to
a
have in
Star
the show.
Wars like house husband reality
Yeah.
show, he
He's-
would
he's
be.
like-
Must everything be boring and sad?
Yeah, what a piece, dude. What
Yeah.
an absolute piece.
Do you
I
think
may
she
serve
knows?
the Empire, but sometimes I find a little rebellion at home.
Oh,
That's
mama.
That's his Real Housewives of Coruscant
That's
intro.
great. That's so great.
That's perfect.
Do we think he has any idea that she's involved in the rebellion?
He
Probably
seems
not.
oblivious.
right?
He seems like he day drinks.
Yeah.
So that's
No?
kind of rough. She's married to someone, and they have
I'm-
such ideological differences. He has no idea
I
that she's in
think
the
I
resistance.
think it's a power play. I mean,
Okay.
we've seen this in Star Wars. It's Game of Thronesy in that like I'm sure that they have a marriage for a reason. Especially like she talks about getting this gift for him. It's very important to like him and her. Their culture has a lot of customs to it. I would not be surprised if like, hey, someone or like maybe he was like, I gotta get in good with this senator. Or this we got a marriage of alliances kind of deal. Like maybe
and
there was
Hillary.
passion back in the day and it's
Yeah.
just fizzled out. But like this guy is the worst.
Yeah.
The worst dude in Star Wars. Darth Vader might have been a little better than this guy. At least Anakin loved Padme
Exactly.
when he killed her.
There's something here she says about, well, your friends that are coming to dinner just put some trade restrictions or block the trade routes for the Gormans.
They're
Yes.
starving.
And they're starving, and that's, she's a real idealist. She's like, she's has a real problem with these people, and I think eventually we're starting to see the sort of chain reaction of events that lead her to become the leader, a public leader of the rebels. But this is fun. You can see her sort of like, there's a lot of friction with the stuff that she's encountering on a day-to-day basis. You see that when she's in that car on the ride back from the artifact, and she's just like, oh, like,
Right.
this is really hard because she's essentially acting at all times.
That's exhausting.
You never
That
know
must be
who's
exhausting.
watching. Yeah.
We're back at the rebel camp now on Aldani, and they're explaining the mission to Cassian. I love this. I love a simple thing for me to like understand sort of what the goal is for these characters.
Filled with miniatures to
Filled with
Little
mini.
diorama.
I love it
for
because, like,
us,
in other
yeah.
Star Wars films and other pieces of Star Wars media, we always see it around, like, usually like a hollow table or
yep.
something.
Yes.
And this is like, nah, we don't have tech here.
Right.
We're gonna build it and
whittled wood.
yeah, and
He's like, oh, I got to handle that because it's fragile.
yeah, I love Nemec. He's the little boy. He's kind
what's
of the
his deal?
I don't know. So I wrote down, I'm so excited, kind of like what we were talking on with Luthen earlier. I love heists. The heist genre is one of
It'll
my
never
favorites.
get old to me.
No, and there's so many fun roles in the heist. I was hoping we were going to get a little bit more as to like what everyone's role in this heist was, or like they're kind of different.
Right.
Like I'm the locksmith, or like I'm
Yeah.
the explosives. I'm detonator guy. We know that Cinta is kind of the medic because
Yeah,
she's
she's-
constantly kind of taking care of Cassian. But I definitely pinged Stellan Skarsgård. I completely just wrote his actual human name.
I
there.
did that too, and I have to go back and
doing
change
that.
it.
I
Yeah.
pinged him as kind of
Is it
Matt Damon
Ocean
character.
11
Ocean
Matt
11,
Damon?
yeah.
Yeah.
He is the mastermind, but he's also the disguise guy.
Mm-hmm.
He is the persona. I don't think we have a Danny Ocean yet. He he might straddle both, but yeah, he's much more of like I'm the infiltrator. I'm the guy who's kind of masking around and stuff.
Right.
But I'm really curious to see what everyone else's roles are. We're probably going to get that in the next episode.
Yeah. I love a heist, just like we said. This particular heist is happening during some sort of celestial event that happens once every 3 years. There's a real fun like religious lore that they've worked in here. I don't know what they're called, but the folks native to Aldani have this pilgrimage to this like temple area once every 3 years where it looks like there's a meteor shower happening, but Nemec explains it as something else.
It's like crystals that are like the planet is passing through this crystal kind of field, and that's them burning up in the kind of burning up in the planet's like surface.
And I guess it leaves like a little eye and a window that gets smaller, and so Cassian's.
Can't wait to see that.
That's our one shot.
That's our one.
2 episodes.
Yeah, exactly. Cassian's like they do tell us everything that's going to happen.
I cannot wait to see that.
Yeah.
Also, I'm calling it now. That dam is being broken open. Just them being like, this was a dam and it was really ceremonial, important to the people. And oh no, we blocked it. I'm like, that dam is going down.
I hope you're right. Cassian, before they kind of get into like how they're going to get away, he's like, the ship that we're going to be escaping in is super slow. This is an armory. Like, how are we going to do this? They're like, well, we know it's going to be this sort of like meteor shower and we're going to escape through this window. We've timed it. It takes 9 minutes. And he sort of starts to buy in a little bit as they start explaining it to him.
It's not going to go well.
Well, look, it's going to be something.
I mean, he even says this is a suicide mission.
Yeah.
So
Bleep,
I think
bloop.
something's gonna go awry. Ooh, bleep bloop.
Bleep, bloop.
We are going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the last little bit. You have a great sort of thing that you point out that I didn't even think about. So stick around the end of episode 4, Andor, Candor, right when we come back. Welcome back to Andor, Candor. We got a comment from Bihar that we all had a nice chuckle at. And he said, Ocean's 11? Nah, it's the Aldani 7.
Amen. I want that on a shirt.
Put that on a shirt. One little scene I think it's worth mentioning is Cyril Karn getting off of the ship and going back home and knocking on mommy's door. What do we think is in store for Cyril? Do we think it's going to go one of two ways? And Emily, I'd love your opinion here. This is either going to fuel his hatred for Cassian and have him turn into a much bigger, more threatening, because right now he's kind of like a pathetic loser.
Yeah.
But every character kind of has to go on a journey. Will he turn into a more a bigger foe who's more competent, or do we think it might turn him onto the side of the rebels? What do you think?
I think both possibly. I think he's going to be a little shit for a while. I could see him getting real peeved, or I could see him playing the system and getting into this rebel alliance, being like, I'm going to bust it from the inside. I'm going to take these people down. I'm going to take down Cassian Andor because he ruined my life. But at the very end, he pulls, what was it, Tibbs in episode 3? Tim.
With 2 M's. We call him Tim.
He's gonna pull a Tim where he realizes, I think he's gonna be a little shit until he realizes what they're really fighting for and how important it is, and then he will redeem himself in some kind of sacrificial act, like taking a bullet or being like, I've got this, Cassian. I was a little shit before, but now I'm a grown ass man. I've learned.
Yeah.
That's my prediction.
Well, he is passionate, and he was dedicated to the cause, just the wrong cause. We're back now on Coruscant at the ISB, the Imperial Security Bureau. Deidre is taking her issue with Blevin. Now, remember, she went to Blevin earlier in the episode, is like, hey, let me know. Like, I'm on in on this case. They've got a Star Path unit that's my jurisdiction. He's like, go F yourself. Okay?
Stop climbing this corporate ladder.
That's
You're
right.
going to fall off if you don't hold on to the rung you're currently on, girl.
Yeah, what did he say? Don't look down?
Yeah, don't look down. Bitch.
Yeah, and she goes, well, I'm going to take it to the boss daddy. I don't think his name is
to
Boss
Pargaz.
I like
Daddy.
Boss Daddy. I think that's it.
Paragaz.
Partagaz.
Boss Daddy Paragaz.
What's fun here is that we kind of understand where she's coming from here in this scene, because she says, and I quote, she sees signs of a coordinated organization of a rebellion. And we know she's right. But since, the Empire is so, there's so much red tape and politicking going on that no one can actually see what's happening. She has this, what was it?
A hunch, a gut feeling.
Now, you made a point, which I thought was so smart and could be a big part of this series moving forward. What'd you say?
Okay, well, I don't know if I'm being dumb, but I was like, is it possible that she's a little force sensitive or something, and she's landed into the ISB, and maybe him saying back to her, you're supposed to be more competent and tucked away. That's why you're here. That's why we're bringing in officers like you. Like, they want her to be empirical. They want her to follow the, not scientific method, but the proper investigative procedures.
Protocols.
So, I mean, this can go multiple ways. So, like, either maybe she is force sensitive and they're like, you got to tamp down on that instinct right now, Missy. Or it's just a difference in ideology that we're seeing thematically, that the ISB, the Empire, is all procedure, and the rebels are all heart and
Heart and guts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why we have Luke doing the run on the Death Star. He loses the calculate. He loses the
little thing.
tracker,
Yep.
and he trusts his gut and he fires. But yeah, like, Empire's always got to be by the book. Got to trust the brain, trust the procedure. We don't trust the guts here, and that's what ultimately causes them to fail time and time again.
I think that's such a telling thing that was specifically written in, and I would feel like that could be indicative of where her character ends up, which is on the side of ideology, which is hunch-based, rebels, the right side of the train tracks. I think that's a wonderful call.
Also, like, you want to work for a boss, unlike Boss Daddy Partagaz, who's not like, hey, know your place. Like, I hired you for a reason.
Yeah,
What
was that line about her? You needed to be something more tucked away?
Competent.
More competent and tucked away. That's why we hired you. It's why we're hiring people like you, which I thought made a great point here. And this is ultimately what's going to lead to the Empire's downfall, is like they're not paying attention to what's going on. And the people that they're hiring, they need to hire just to fill slots. They don't want people to start thinking outside of the sort of normal procedures. And that's their own arrogance, and that's going to lead them to essentially getting their freaking Death Star blown up.
Yeah. getting those plans stolen.
Good for her. So Partagas goes like, look, you worry about your own things. Leave Blevin alone. He's dealing with 6 things. He's turned in his reports on time.
Oh, that passive aggressive line
Yeah.
soon. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. And
Sorry.
And so she's kind of put in her place.
Yeah, a little sexism there in the Empire, I was noticing.
Yeah.
In ISB.
Yeah, I wonder how much she gets paid to Blevin's salary.
Not enough.
Not
Not
enough.
enough.
We got to figure
Not
it
enough.
I tell you what. None
89 credits.
Yeah,
Virus of
exactly.
mails, 1
Exactly.
credit. 100 credits.
Back at the Aldani rebel camp, they're having a little, little fire. They're having dinner, but they hand Clem, Cassian, this sort of like pad that has all this information. It's got Aldani language on it. It's got this sort of like, he's got homework that he's got to get done. And essentially, they're like, you got to learn this by the morning, dude. Because
catch up.
if you're gonna be here and our lives are gonna be in your hands, you gotta put in the work. And he's got like, can I have my food? I think he's got that fun. You don't really see him eat too much, but here he is. For once, he's eating knowledge.
Yeah.
That's what they're telling us.
He's nominal knowledge.
And that's essentially the whole episode. What's next episode entail? Is it going to be the sort of like, all right, heist, here's everyone's roles in the heist, here's how we're going to do it? Because we do think that this is going to happen in the next 2 episodes, right? And because they're doing these episodes in 3s, so by episode 6, we're going to have this big, spectacular sort of meteor shower escape. But next episode is a little more unclear on kind of what happens and what do you guys think is going to happen?
I think Emily wants to see heist roles assigned, but I can also understand if it's just much more chaotic because, like we said, this is the early days. They're still figuring out the ropes of this Rebel Alliance. We see much more of heist. We see many more heist archetypes in Rogue One, which makes a lot of sense. So while I want it because I'm a big Persona 5 and Ocean's nut, I think it's going to be much more like, well, I'm just going to do this because I know how to do it. And I think it's going to be a lot more opposing and kind of like there's going to be some fights and Cassian's going to be like, I don't know if we should do this. You got to trust me on this. You got to trust me. I know what I'm doing. And they're going to be like, okay, we got to trust this guy because he's driving us here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm ready to see shit hit the fan.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think that
Get
like
in
that's
trouble.
what we saw in episode 3. It's like
Great fight, by the way.
Yeah, there were plans that each team essentially had, and they all went wrong in different ways.
Right.
And it's like it's planning for the unknown unknowns.
Yeah.
And they failed to do that in
Right.
episode 3.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what the unknown unknowns will be for this heist.
I'm very curious to see kind of how Cassian's journey leads him to the man that he is in Rogue One. We still have 20 episodes
Amen.
of this show left, and so there's plenty of room for him to still be selfish, still be running away from his problems, still make the wrong decisions, still kill people. I mean, the guy he's a murderer. But yet we have such a fondness for him. My MVP so far has got to be Luthen. It's got to be Stellan Skarsgård.
A+. Amazing
So fun to
performance.
watch.
So good. Just bringing it. Bring 110% to Star Wars.
That's how you bring actors into
Yes.
this world. You give
Also-
them meaty, juicy roles.
Also, we did have our obligatory Saw Gerrera name drop in
Yes,
this episode.
yes, I was
you
waiting
can't
to
you
see
can't
that.
have a Star Wars show without name dropping Saw Gerrera.
That's right. Yeah.
And I really hope we see. I really want to go to that Mon Mothma dinner party.
Oh,
Because I wonder
dinner
if
party's
I
gonna be
wonder if
great.
she's going to try and invite her friend who she's interested in having join the Rebel Alliance, or I just want to see what that kind of navigation on her end is. If it sends her kind of into a panic attack, or how she navigates like having to be at a dinner in her own home with people who are actively opposing her, and also one who can read minds. That's what's her name? That's
Sly.
Yeah.
Sly Moore's power.
Yep.
Yeah, she is a formidable sort of person.
Umbran. Yep.
Can't wait to see how that dinner party goes. I really want to see more of Luthen's like day to day.
I want to see him have one more persona.
Is he married? Yeah, I want to see all the disguises because
He's all business. Yeah, is he? Does he got a?
I bet he has a secret fake wife somewhere.
Ooh,
A secret fake family.
a beard. And
Put
obviously,
on this hat.
yeah, we're gonna see more of the rebels on Aldani training for the big event or getting ready for it. So there's plenty of show left to go. Can't wait to see what happens in the next episode. Can't wait for us to be here again next week.
Yeah.
I want to thank you guys for watching. Look, if I know there's a small group of you G4 people that are watching this right now, but if you are, leave a comment, smash that like button, let us know. Be vocal on social media of whether or not you're digging the show. Any changes that you want to add. Trust me, we're very loose, and we're not married to anything out here.
Does Kassem need to do the entire episode in a Stellan Skarsgård voice?
Yeah, I'll just have a hot tea, and we can do that.
Yeah.
If we break a certain amount of viewers,
You'll do.
I'll do the last episode.
Yes.
Of Andor, Candor, in my Stellan Skarsgård voice.
10,000 views
10,000
for
views.
Stellan Skarsgård.
They'd probably pay for us to be on the front page or something.
I would.
Make
and
it
that
happen.
I would have to do it then. And that's it. Oh, by the way, Fresh Ink, She-Hulk. The last episode of She-Hulk, I think it's episode 7, just went up. Me and Courtney Miller from Smosh get into that, and I hope you guys do the same thing. Watch it, smash the like, leave a comment. I really like She-Hulk. I think it's very fun, easy to watch, digestible. I do think that the story has to start picking up, and hopefully we get Daredevil in the next episode. But yeah, tune in for She-Hulk on Fresh Ink. It's on our YouTube channel right now. Guys, anything else? Where can we find you? Lena, you're behind the scenes every day. Feedback?
Yep. Feedback on Monday,
Attack of the Show's back in
There.
a couple weeks.
Wahoo!
October 12th.
October 12th. And Emily Rose Jacobson, where can we find you?
You can find me doing a lot of things for XPlay. So tune into XPlay, watch our videos on the youtube.com/XPlay, and then you can find me on the Twitters at frankly_Emily.
Yeah, and that's it. And thanks
Sound
again
like
to
Kermit the
Christian.
Frog.
Thanks, Christian, for the R2-D2.
Yeah.
I'm going to send it off
Christian.
with a couple bleep bloops here.
Do it. Send us off. Oh.
Oh.
Sorry. Don't end it yet.
Hold on. Stephanie,
We're getting there.
Stephanie,
end
hold
it.
on.
Stephanie,
I won't touch it.
don't.
Ooh, coming.
How about that?
How about that?
We'll see you next time on Andor Candor.
May the force be with you.
Goodbye.